Welcome to another episode of Build Day TV. This is our 5th episode working with the VMware SD-WAN solution. I'm Alistair Cook and I am joined by Rohan Naggi. Rohan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you, Alistair?
I'm great. It's getting up towards the end of year. It's the beginning of holiday season for us with Christmas. I know in America it's the end of holiday season, but for us it's the start. So in this episode, we're looking at intrinsic security. We've looked at VPNs and providing security across an untrusted network. What's different in the intrinsic security section here?
So in this episode, we are going to talk all about security. There are different options. There is flexibility with the VMware SD-WAN solution when it comes to security. So we'll address those problem statements and how VMware SD-WAN security provides flexibility and options to the customer. So with that, let's get started. So 4 key options for an enterprise customer here. So you can see here, we have a built-in firewall, which is an integrated stateful firewall for the customer, which comes with every VMware SD-WAN edge device, whether it's a hardware or a virtual firewall, which works on those 5 tuples, tracks the TCP, UDP, ICMP states, and discard out-of-state packets. A typical behavior of a stateful and an application-aware firewall. The second
that's what we saw as we were configuring the policies in the SD-WAN in the previous episodes, was configuring that firewall's behavior.
Correct. Either you can do it at the profile level. When you do it at the profile level, then it applies to all the edges which are part of that profile. Or you can also do it at the edge level, where you can override the settings which are coming from the profile. So that's where this stateful integrated firewall comes to play. The second option is you can have a Firewall VNF, where we have partnered with best of the breed security partners like Checkpoint, and the list goes on for the partners. So you can instantiate a third-party security firewall VNF on selected hardware platforms. And when I say selected hardware platform, I mean here the VMware SD-WAN edge devices.
So the edge device is running a virtual edition, a virtual network function, a virtual edition of a third-party firewall. So I don't have to use the VMware SD-WAN built-in firewall. I can use a third-party one in here.
Yes. And that's where that service chaining comes to play. So all that instantiation of those third-party firewall will happen from the orchestrator, and then all the policies, licensing, and everything will be done from the vendor management station. So if the vendor here for the firewall is Checkpoint, then it will be done from the Checkpoint management station. So that's going
to be the really good option if there's an existing firewall team who want to have control of every firewall, that we have this standardization on a particular firewall platform and a team to look after it, rather than having the WAN team looking after it, who would be looking after the SD-WAN product.
And it's also good for customers who are already using, let's say, if customer ABC is using Checkpoint firewall in their deployment in their enterprise. Now with VMware SD-WAN coming to play, they can still leverage those licenses. They can still leverage the Checkpoint firewall security as a solution out there. The third option is you can still backhaul all your internet traffic or all that traffic to the data center where customer maybe has deployed as next generation third-party firewall, where the traffic will get inspected and then it can go out to the internet, or it can be blocked. So even that option is still available for customers. Maybe customer wants to use because of the compliance reason, company compliance reason, or governance, and there might be other reasons for that. But this option is still supported. We call this as a legacy option, but it's still supported out there.
And that's where you're providing the same sort of functionality as replacing a MPLS circuit of a private connection. We're just doing this over the internet, but we're not enabling direct internet access from each of the branches in this scenario. We're still centralizing that access and control through your existing on-premises firewall.
Yeah, all the 100 branches, traffic coming to the data center where that third-party firewall is for the inspection, like a centralized firewall policies. And then depending on the policy, traffic is either allowed or it's blocked.
Cool.
And the fourth option is the secure web gateway. That's where the cloud security, you might heard that buzzword, SASE, S-A-S-E, and we'll come to that. So cloud security services. And this really extend our capabilities as platforms. If you remember, during our initial episodes, we talked about the VMware SD-WAN gateways. Our gateway footprints are across the globe. So we are leveraging the edges and the gateway SD-WAN overlay tunnel for DMPO for performance, which is the application performance. And now we can leverage those gateway to kind of configure an IPsec tunnel from our gateway to, let's say, a third-party security firewall solution, let's say from Zscaler. So we can create an IPsec tunnel from Zscaler to, from our VMware SD-WAN gateways to Zscaler, depending on where the branch location is or where the gateways are. So these gateways then interconnects to Zscaler via the IPsec tunnel. That's where it comes. And we'll talk more about this when we do the lab exercise.
So that's the sort of firewall as a service integration.
Correct. So instead of having all the policies on the branch, now we are moving away from all those security firewall policies from the branch to the cloud. So all the security policies are in the cloud. So any internet traffic, let's say it comes onto the branch site. If I'm a user typing in yahoo.com from my laptop, traffic goes to the edge device. There is a business policy in the edge device which redirects the traffic to these secure web gateway, let's say Zscaler or Netscope or Menlo in this case. And all the security policies are defined in the cloud. And then based on those policies, your traffic will be either allowed or it will be disabled or blocked. Cool. So these are the four options, and we can take a look at each of these options. So to get started off with, let's start and look at this integrated. Remember, this is a stateful firewall depending on those 5 tuples. So let's start with the option number 1 out here. Let me go to the orchestrator here and let me log in to the orchestrator. Yeah. So I'm logged into the orchestrator as an enterprise admin. So the use case we are going to try out here is this laptop, which is on the Zoom connection, is connected to that edge device using the Wi-Fi. And this is my home edge device. So right now, if I type in any social networking site, let's say facebook.com, I'm able to access that site. So what we are going to do is with that stateful firewall, either you can do it at the profile level or I can do it at the edge specific level. So I can enable stateful firewall. So with the stateful firewall, any traffic which is initiated from outside to inside will be blocked because it maintains the state. So this is how you can enable the stateful firewall. You can override it. At the same time, I can create a rule here, Facebook block. Let's say I create a rule out here. So based on the application, I can define a rule out here and I can say drop and block it. It will take some time because the keep alive messages between the orchestrator and the edge device takes approximately 30 seconds out here.
30 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, and
you can that new config, yeah.
Yeah, as a user, you can monitor those events out here also. So what we are trying to do out here is we are testing the integrated firewall security out here. The real test here would be for the stateful would be any traffic going from inside to outside should be allowed. But if any TCP SYN gets initiated from outside should be blocked. In this case, we are testing out a social website. So let me quickly try out. And now you can see I cannot browse the facebook.com from my laptop, which is on the LAN side of this edge device.
Yeah, so that firewall block on your edge device is stopping it. And you applied that specifically to one edge device rather than in the policy, so it only affects that one edge device. You could have done that in the policy and had it affect every one of the edge devices that had the policy applied to them, couldn't you?
Yeah, I think that's the right way to do it. If I do that, then, all the edge devices which are part of that profile will be affected here. But at the same time, what I wanted to show you here was even at the sub-application level, we can do that block. So I want to allow Facebook application, but at the same time, I want to block Facebook Messenger, which is a sub-application in this case. So even those things can be done here. So Facebook.
Yeah, I saw that there was quite a lot of detail of which parts of Facebook were allowed in here.
Yes. And why I'm talking about the sub-application is because of that deep packet inspection engine, which runs on every edge device. So we can today recognize those 3,000 plus different applications out there. So you can define things at the sub-application level, and those things can be taken care by this integrated firewall.
So there's a lot of application definitions built in. Can I write my own application definitions to add to that?
Yes, you can definitely have your custom application, and many customers do that too. They have their in-house custom application, and you can define those custom application based on 5 tuples: source IP, destination IP, or source port.
Ports and TCP protocol. Yeah.
Ports. You can do that. So let's see events, whether the configuration has been applied or not. I think we'll just wait for 10 seconds.
Wait for a little longer in that 30-second cycle time. There we go, configuration applied.
You can see the configuration has been applied. So I can browse facebook.com, but if I try to browse the Facebook Messenger, then I should not be allowed to do that.
Right. Because
it will be blocked by the firewall.
You need to be logged into Facebook to see the Messenger app up. So that one's.
But you got the idea here how they
absolutely granular control.
Can it give you custom messages? So if you are blocked, it'll take it to like a 403 page or something like that?
Yes, you can do that, and I'll showcase that when we talk about that cloud web security use case where I can redirect when the traffic is blocked. I don't know exactly what is happening out here, whether as an end user, I have no clue whether the traffic is blocked or my internet is not working. So it can be redirected to a home page or some message out there.
Redirected to an acceptable use policy page on the wiki or on the
yes
on the documentation.
Also do that. So that was the first use case we looked into. Application level, sub-application level. I'm just going to delete this rule. I use Facebook a lot. And right now it's going through my home edge device. Everybody at home uses.
So the rest of your family lost access to Facebook and Facebook Messenger for a few minutes there. Yeah, I can imagine that the support calls from the family would be coming in pretty quickly on that one.
So we tried out the option 1, which is the integrated firewall, stateful firewall out here. Now let's go to the second option where the branch configuration policies are thinning, they are shrinking, and all those policy, all that complexity for the security policies is now in the cloud with this secure web gateway. And now we have partnered with vendors like Zscaler, ForcePoint, Netscope, Mendo Security. So we can leverage their next generation firewall, their secure web gateway out here. And how we do it, there are 2 ways to kind of get this cloud security services done for the customer has a choice here, because these cloud web security, they include firewall, they include URL filtering and other services also. So you can either do it directly from the branch. So from the branch, you can instantiate an IPsec tunnel to, let's say, in this case, Zen Gateway, the Zscaler Gateway, which is in the cloud. So if I am in San Jose, California, based on my geolocation, based on my edge geolocation, it will be connected to the nearest Zen Gateway in my area. So that's the first task. But with this option, we are going to lose the SD-WAN DMPO benefit. There will be no DMPO benefit here. And when I say DMPO benefit, I'm talking about those link steering options and all. Because we are not going over the SD-WAN overlay tunnel out here with this direct branch breakout. But with the second option, with the gateways, yes, these edges are already connected to the gateways using SD-WAN overlay tunnel. So you have DMPO protection from VMware SD-WAN. And at the same time, if you see, if I have 100 branches out here, those branches are now connected to the VMware SD-WAN gateways. And then we just build a single IPsec tunnel to the cloud security, let's say, to the Zen Gateway.
Yeah. So this is
advantage.
The differentiation here is when the network connection leaves the control of the SD-WAN and switches across to the control of the firewall service, that it's either directly from the branch to the firewall service where you have very little control, or from the gateway to the firewall service where the VMware SD-WAN has much more control.
Correct. Yeah. From the branch, when it's direct IPsec, it's just a single IPsec tunnel. You can build redundant tunnels also at the same time. You can do that, but you're losing the DMPO, dynamic multipath optimization.
Yeah, you're getting whatever functionality the firewall has for this, and it's typically not designed for a WAN optimization or WAN scenario so much as a firewalling scenario.
And this is what it shows, that direct IPsec going to these cloud security brokers out there. So you can have redundant IPsec tunnel to different, let's say, Zscaler POP from the edges without the use of VMware SD-WAN gateways. Remember, no DMPO in that case. So, and for this, we have an automation built in. So that's what I want to go through, the automation out here, that with simple clicks, you can build up this IPsec tunnel configuration on both the ends, on the VMware SD-WAN edge device and then on the Zscaler side. So with this, what's the advantage do we get here? I think the first key here with the automation or with this direct IPsec is simplified configuration. At the same time, it saves link bandwidth cost by kind of offloading the non-enterprise traffic to the internet. Not all traffic is going through that SD-WAN overlay tunnel. So kind of a direct breakout. And then the branch site at the same time are protected from any kind of malicious traffic by redirecting that traffic to the internet for inspection by the cloud security. So that's the key out here with the direct IPsec. So let's go through that task out here. So what we'll do is...
That automation is really important because you're going to need to configure every single edge to talk to this third-party service. So you don't really want to be doing that one by one.
Yes. So you can come here to Cloud Security Services and you can select, you can see here from the drop-down, I can select Zscaler out here and I can say, I want to do the automation out here, do all the, put the username, password, partner key, which is all configured on the Zscaler on day one, and then you can validate and add to it. So I already have it out here because generally the validation kind of takes time. So once the credentials are validated, you just have to click on add and it just get added out here. So
this credentials is to identify you as a tenant within the shared service that is this cloud security gateway.
So the edge will make those REST API calls with those all IPsec configuration, API key and all. And then the IPsec tunnel will get configured and it will come online. So the only thing I need to do as an end user is go to the edge configuration. And you can see here, enable edge override. So I just enable this and select that Zscaler configuration out here.
And again, this is overriding a policy. You could do this through policy and apply it to every edge that's in the on that policy.
Yes, and then at the same time, we have this GRE. If the customer needs more than a gig throughput, then they can go with the GRE option out here. But just for this lab task, let's go through that direct IPsec tunnel from the edge device to the Zen Gateway. So once,
and that will be relevant for most branch office kind of deployments. GRE would be more for a regional large-scale office.
You have worked on that when I need more throughput, like you mentioned, for a regional branch, then I will go with the GRE option out there. So let's take the cloud security provider has been added. So these are all the events. You can also go to monitor network services to check on the status for the cloud security. And at the same time, you can go to events. I think events is the best place to check out what events are happening.
Progress.
You can see here, call made to an external API. This is where the configuration is happening on the Zen Gateway out there. Now that we have configured, we have automated that direct IPsec tunnel. So IPsec tunnel has come up. What should be the next step is that we need to create a business policy to redirect internet traffic over that IPsec tunnel. So we need to do that task out here. But before that, what I wanted to show you was before we redirect all the internet traffic, what I wanted to show you that right now, all that traffic you can see here is not getting redirected to Zen Gateway as a cloud security services. You can see here it is going directly to the internet. It's not using any cloud security. So I just wanted to showcase the before and after out here. Now,
and so just standing up that IPsec connection doesn't switch the traffic across.
Yeah, so the traffic is still going and following the default business policy out there. So now I'm going to create a business policy where I'll say that, hey, if my destination is internet, then get it over that IPsec tunnel for inspection in the Zen Gateway. And then all the configurations for that internet is defined in the Zen Gateway. If, let's say, it says that block any sports website traffic or allow this or block this or drop this, then it will follow that rule out here. So let's say source is any, destination is internet. Actually, I should define source. I can also define source as an IP address. Let me do that. Otherwise, all
your family.
And I'll get a call out here. So,
and again, this is still allowing us to say, I only want to use this web security gateway for internet traffic and have my enterprise internal applications continue to go across the SD-WAN tunnels.
Yes, I can still, that's what is happening out here. So just giving the source IP out here for my laptop, internet inspection, and I'll just put direct out here for our reference. So any traffic from my laptop, which is on the LAN side of it, should get onto this tunnel. And you can see here, this is what we attached to our edge device. So all the traffic will get redirected to that IPsec tunnel. So save changes. Again, we wait for that 30 seconds, the keep alive bit on the management plane, which happens. So,
and again, we could choose to send all traffic via the gateway rather than just traffic that's for the internet. That's entirely up to our policy choice.
Yeah, so the first option here we are trying out is direct IPsec. So it's only going to affect this edge device here because we have attached that direct IPsec tunnel for secure inspection.
And it's only going to affect the internet traffic because that's what you chose as a filter on the rule.
Yes. We can test out, let's see if I do ip.zscaler.com, and now you see that all the traffic from my edge device, specifically from the source IP from my laptop, is getting redirected over the IPsec tunnel from the branch edge to the Zen Gateway in the cloud. And this is where it's going.
All right.
So my laptop
is nice close,
yeah,
physically close to you, and therefore low latency connection to that gateway.
You can see that here. My laptop, I'm in San Jose Bay Area, so it is getting connected to the nearest Zen Gateway.
It's in Sunnyvale, which is nice and close to you.
Yes. So I'm just going to kind of remove this connection out here. I'll delete it. I'll not mess with the internet connection out here. So this is the direct IPsec use case, which we just talked about. Again, there is no DMPO out here. It's a direct IPsec tunnel. Automation is involved using those REST API calls.
And as soon as the traffic leaves your edge device, it's leaving the control of the SD-WAN and being handed over to the web firewall.
Yes. And now let's go to that second option. Again, we are using the cloud web security out here, but now we are building those IPsec tunnel from the VMware SD-WAN gateways. Again, remember, the benefit here is that consolidation happening for the egress point out here. So all that IPsec tunnels, if I have 100 branch sites, I don't have to configure those 100 IPsec tunnels out here. I can just create a single IPsec tunnel from the VMware SD-WAN gateway.
Or from each of the gateways, yeah.
And then this tunnels, once they are up and running, they will provide you with the same functionality what a direct IPsec provides from the security point of view. All that URL filtering, IPs, all that security services which are offered in this case by the Zen Gateway out here. So in this model, if you see, the SD-WAN gateway aggregates the traffic from multiple
edges,
and then it forwards the traffic to these security providers for inspection. So we call in our terminology as creating a non-Velo cloud site. So we'll create a non-Velo cloud site where we'll define these IPsec parameters in that non-Velo cloud site, and we can attach that to a profile. Here it makes sense to attach it to a profile because we are consolidating those
group of edges. Yeah,
we need to still create a business policy to redirect internet traffic or interesting traffic to these non-Velo cloud sites.
Yeah. But now the redirection happens at the gateway rather than at the edge.
Yes, and here the benefit is, yes, you are getting that last mile protection from edge to the gateway. That benefit.
Redundancy for the DMPO. As we showed in one of the earlier videos where you terminated one of your 2 internet connections and our Zoom call continued to operate. That's the failover from the local connections that's really critical for DMPO.
Yeah, and then I can do per application level also. I can, let's say, just redirect Zoom application traffic for inspection, just to give you an example, or any internet traffic. So I could do that also. And when I say that here we have to configure non-Velo cloud site, it means you have to configure both the ends out here. So that doesn't mean that the configuration is complicated. Again, even when the automation is not involved, simplicity is built into VMware SD-WAN from day one. So let's execute this test case. So as step 1, we will check ip.zscaler.com just to check how the internet traffic is going. Is it getting redirected or not? Expected result there would be that there is no Zen Gateway being used. And then
we turn that one off.
Then we'll configure this non-Velo cloud site, attach it to a profile so that all the edges which are part of that profile will get that configuration.
Sure.
Then we'll create a business policy for internet traffic. You can be selective, like it's mentioned out here, per app level. But we'll just create a generic internet policy, and then we'll try out the ip.zscaler.com, or we'll try out some URL filtering, which is defined on the Zscaler site. So in this case, what we have done is we are blocking all the sports website. We want all the sports category to be blocked by the Zen Gateway out here. So let's execute this test case out here. So let me quickly first show you what's configured on the Zscaler portal out here. So you can see here on the Zscaler portal, we have blocked, based on the URL category, we have blocked the gambling, online game sites, and the sports sites also. And it will get, your traffic will be blocked. And remember, you asked me that question, can we have a custom messaging or a redirection there? Yes. So in this case, the moment let's say if I type in espn.com, that internet traffic will get redirected to VMware SD-WAN gateway. Then it will hop on from SD-WAN overlay tunnel to an IPsec tunnel. And then once the traffic reaches the Zen Gateway, where it will be inspected for the policy. And then in this case, as it's a sports website traffic, that traffic will get redirected to zscaler.com. So the user will not be able to browse any sports related traffic out there.
But we can pop up a message saying this is not an allowed use of the corporate network kind of message.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's a Zscaler or whatever the web security gateway we're using functionality rather than a VMware SD-WAN functionality.
Can you do a timer thing? So like if they're on break, let's say a 30-minute break, it'll start on the page, but then after 30 minutes, it just does some sort of hard cut or anything like that? Or would that be some other software that would?
I am not sure of that, but I can definitely get an answer to that.
But that's being implemented by the third-party partner web security gateway rather than by SD-WAN. So it will depend on which partner you're using, what functionality you get.
Let me go out here. Let me actually first show you the traffic from the client machine. Let's do that here. So I'm going to type in ip.zscaler.com. And you can see here this traffic is getting... it's not going to the Zscaler portal out here. At the same time, if I type in any sports website traffic, espn.com, I'm able to browse that. So there is no security applied out here.
Now, that's not from your laptop that you're using for the presentation. This is a computer sitting in a lab environment, not your local one. So you're not going to break access to ESPN for your wife as she's watching some basketball games.
Yeah, so I don't want to break any internet connection out here. So that's why I'm using a kind of a lab environment out here. Yeah. So let me go to the orchestrator here. You can see here network services. And like I mentioned, we are going to create an IPsec tunnel from the gateway, VMware SD-WAN gateway to Zen Gateway. So I can just give it a name out here. Zscaler, you can use the DNS name out here or the IP addresses. I remember the IP address, so I'm going to give the IP address out here. So you can have redundant gateways here also. What I mean here is, so I can, if you have two Zen gateways, Zen Gateway 1, Zen Gateway 2, and if I have VCG 1, which is the VMware SD-WAN gateway, VCG 2. So by default, I can build up a single tunnel, IPsec tunnel to each of these Zen gateways. But for redundancy, I can do this also. So this way, I can have 4 tunnels. So if one goes down, or the gateway goes down, or the Zen gateway goes down, we still have our traffic.
We have redundant multipathing.
Yeah, so those things can be done out here. And let me put out the other Zen gateway out here.
You've been doing this demo a lot, if you can remember those IPs.
So this is where that configuration needs to be done. So I'm just giving that configuration out here. So this is the primary VPN gateway. This is the IP address of the Zen Gateway 1, Zen Gateway 2. I can click on Advanced, and then this is where I will type in the password. And then I can have, so this is the redundancy to the Zen Gateway. So from a single VMware SD-WAN gateway, we are building an IPsec tunnel to a primary Zen Gateway, which is at 132, which is 39. But I can also at the same time, I can have primary and secondary gateway at the VMware SD-WAN site also. And this is where... So
the default with 2 public IPs is dealing with redundancy at the Zscaler side. And this is now dealing with redundancy at the VMware SD-WAN side.
Correct, you are right. And at the same time, this is very important, enable tunnels. And whether it's Zscaler or let's say, even if you have a third party, let's say a third party traditional router or ASA firewall or any device which can support IPsec, the configuration which needs to be done on the other side is also simplified out here, because we kind of give that information like a template out here. So you can see here.
If I wanted to do a VPN to a VPN termination that's not one of the partners, I can get the template to apply to the far side.
So I can just copy paste this configuration onto the other side, and you can see here it gives out all that. These are the gateway IPs which we configured for the Zen Gateway out here. So this is the primary VPN, secondary VPN. Even we can detect what configuration of which software release version the other side device is using. Let's say if you have a Cisco ASA firewall, and based on the release, the configuration syntax might be different. So it can give you configuration based on both the releases, also both the versions. So the only thing I need to do is kind of copy paste this onto the other side of it. So now that we have configured the IPsec tunnel, we need to attach this IPsec tunnel to the profile so that it can be used by all the sites. So I'm going to go to this branch internet profile, which has 202 edges out here. If you have 200 edges, you are kind of consolidating all those IPsec tunnels out there, and you're just building up one IPsec tunnel. So this is where I will attach branch to non-Velo cloud site. Once you do that, that was the second step. If you remember, we configured the IPsec tunnel, we attached that IPsec tunnel using a profile. And then now the third step here is redirecting all internet
policy traffic to actually use it.
Yeah. So let's say internet traffic, my destination is internet, and this is where the action is to backhaul to that Zscaler non-Velo cloud site. So I'm going to select Zscaler West. So all the internet traffic will get redirected. So, but in this case, what I will do is I will define my source IP just to be on the safe side. So my source IP is, actually, this is a lab environment.
It should be a Chicago one, shouldn't it? You shouldn't need to restrict.
Yes. So save changes. This is where the changes are saved. We can go to monitor events. We can check the VPN state. First, we need to make sure that the IPsec tunnel is up and running. What's the state of the IPsec tunnel? So for that, I can go to monitor network services, and we can check out here. So just give it a minute out here. So it shows me now all the negotiation happens. Maybe for one of the gateways, I might have given incorrect password.
I think for the redundant gateway, you only put the password on one of the two VPN tunnels.
So, but you got the idea here that
absolutely.
It has built up those tunnels, redundant tunnels, like you mentioned. If I have not given the IP address or the configuration is not done. So at least the tunnels are up and running out here. You can view the events out here. Yeah. And now if I go to the client machine, in this case, the Chicago client machine, which is behind the Chicago edge. And if we browse the internet, I think first thing first we'll check out is whether it's going through the Zen Gateway. Yep. So you can see here, it is going to the Zen Gateway out there. And now if I type in, let's say, any internet traffic, that traffic will get redirected to Zen Gateway. So this traffic is allowed out here. But if I type in espn.com, that traffic should get blocked and it should get redirected, if you remember, as per the
that page.
Yeah, it will get redirected to zscaler.com out here. So that's what the use case here is all about. You can see here. Here you are consolidating all those IPsec tunnels directly from the edge to the gateway. you're building up a single IPsec tunnel from the gateway. The key here is the DMPO, the last mile protection, which is happening using the VMware SD-WAN from the edge to the VMware SD-WAN gate.
And that DMPO is really about addressing that service levels on internet connections are not the same as service levels on MPLS, and getting the same service level for the application by aggregating those internet connections.
Yes. So two options for the user, direct IPsec and through the gateway. The third option, if you remember with the security, is instantiating a third-party security firewall. So in this case, checkpoint firewall security on selected VMware SD-WAN edge platform, which are already VNF ready. The key here is that all that orchestration, that initial instantiation, which is happening, will happen from the orchestrator. And rest of that configuration security policy, if I want to block Yahoo traffic or social networking traffic, all those things will be still done from the checkpoint firewall management.
So this is putting a distributed firewall out on all of my compatible VeloCloud Edge devices.
Yes. If I have to come up with a scenario, if the requirement is to kind of deploy a firewall locally at the branch and kind of consolidate the branch hardware footprint, a typical use case for a retail site, they don't want to have multiple devices for each network function. Routing, they have a router, firewall, switch, wireless access point. Here we are doing a consolidation into a single, let's say,
physical device.
Yeah, a single device. And then we can do a service chaining between the SD-WAN and the VNF. And for this, there are certain platforms which are kind of VNF ready.
You need to have enough horsepower inside the physical device to run. Essentially, I imagine it's a container or a virtual machine running this function on there. So you need to have enough resources to be able to run that in addition to the SD-WAN components.
Yes. And at the same time, when you instantiate that third-party VNF out here, you can select which VLAN from the LAN side, let's say VLAN A or VLAN B, which VLAN you want to redirect for the security inspection on this VNF, and rest of the VLANs, you can send it directly or use some other security policy. So even that flexibility is out here.
So you could have scenarios where the firewall is used to inspect traffic from the guest network that customers are allowed to attach, and it's dedicated just to that function, separate from all of the network connectivity you have for your corporate application off the other networks.
Yes, and in that way, the firewall VNF will secure the branch user traffic and mitigate any threats which are from any malicious resources, like you mentioned, if it's coming from the guest network. So that guest network is redirected towards the VNF out here. And you get the full visibility. The firewall VNF has that full visibility into that traffic, from the user branch before that SD-WAN kind of encryption is applied.
Right. And the other use case I could see for this is where you've got a validated kind of environment, a sort of financial, medical, where you need the firewall as close to the source of data as possible, but you want that central control using the already validated firewalling platform.
Yes, and at the same time, the edge is performing, and it performs all its normal operation, whatever that SD-WAN operation, any traffic which needs to hop onto the SD-WAN overlay tunnel, or if there is any encryption needs to be applied, per packet link steering, DMPO, all that will happen, and you can have that just the guest VLAN getting redirected to that VNF, so it doesn't have to wait for other operations to happen. So that's where we'll go through this instantiation for the checkpoint firewall out here. So let me showcase you again. Here we go to the network services, and like I mentioned, it's where we support multiple next generation firewall VNF to be part of VMware SD-WAN as instantiating a VNF out here. So let's browse through the configuration. Again, here the automation is already involved. Simplicity is there. So you just do these configurations, and then that automation will be done. What kind of an image, where the VNF image location is, what's the license server. License server is very important because that's where the REST API call will be made to that license server to validate the VNF instantiation out here. And then
so the license enforcement for the third party is partly integrated into the SD-WAN part. You're not doing the license enforcement or just doing the license after the deployment of the VNF. You're doing it at deployment time too.
Yeah, during the instantiation time, we are doing a REST API equal to the license server, and that's where we give the IP address of the license server or the DNS name of that license server so that it can go and validate whether do we have a license for this VNF or not. So as an administrator, you need to take care of the checkpoint licensing and all that configuration out there, which happens on day one on the checkpoint portal. So once the edge, you can see here, this is the edge we are using to instantiate a VNF. So we just do VNF insertion. We define which VLAN needs to get inspected by that VNF. And then, it's just a simple click and you can just deploy the checkpoint security VNF.
So you do an overall configuration. When I want to deploy this particular VNF, here's where to find it. And then you can attach that to the policy and apply the VNF to a bunch of edge devices.
Yeah, once it has been validated, once the initial configuration like license and all those things are validated, then it's just a matter of attaching it to your branch edge device. Again, remember, not all edge devices can use this VNF functionality. Selected because we have kind of handpicked those devices based on the performance and other testing out there. And then rest of the configuration, then you do it on to the at the checkpoint management station level. So
and that allows that segregation of duties between the security team or the firewall team and the WAN team here. Yes.
And everything is simplified out there. So we have gone through those three options of using a stateful integrated firewall, which comes with the edge device, secure web gateway, where we do direct IPsec tunnel to Zen Gateway, or we consolidate those IPsec tunnel and we build up a single IPsec tunnel from the VMware SD-WAN gateway to the Zen Gateway. We checked out the VNF option on selected platforms. And now, like I was mentioning earlier, Secure Access Service Edge, that's the VMware SASE offering. So SASE here kind of refers to the Secure Access Service Edge solution, kind of that combines the SD-WAN capabilities, which expands that SD-WAN capabilities on our VMware SD-WAN gateway to all these kind of security services out here. So the VMware SD-WAN gateway is now onboarded not only just with SD-WAN services, but it's kind of onboarded with security services like Zero Trust Network Access, Cloud Web Security, the same Cloud Web Security we showcased with that Zscaler in this case. So with VMware SD-WAN, with the SASE, what we are using is SD-WAN as a transport component. So SD-WAN plays a key role in the SASE, where the SD-WAN is kind of doing a reliable transport, and then we use these services for security, and that's where VMware kind of SASE comes to play. So with VMware SASE, we are bringing the cloud networking, which is the cloud SD-WAN and the cloud security together. So with our VMware SD-WAN gateways, like I mentioned, it's going to have the SD-WAN, plus now it will have all the security, that secure web gateway, all the network access, which we talked about in the last slide out here, the zero trust network access, cloud web security, and the cloud firewall, all that will be built into the SD-WAN gateway, what we call it as the VMware SD-WAN POP. So just to give you a scenario out here, user with a laptop working from a branch site, the traffic can be protected, optimized using the SD-WAN edge device, can get redirected to those VMware SD-WAN POP, the SASE POP, for inspection. But when the same user is moved to a home location or working from anywhere, then things changes out here. So what we provide or what we offer out here is that, first of all, this laptop out here is not getting connected to the SD-WAN edge device, but this laptop can get enrolled with the Workspace One, what we call it as our zero trust network access security out there. So
this is automatically detecting that we're connecting from an untrusted location that's not managed by SD-WAN and changing the behavior of that managed device when it's accessing applications.
We are kind of managing this device. We can enroll, let's say if I get a new laptop, or if I'm using a home laptop from my home and I want to access applications which are in my enterprise data center or my company applications, this device can be enrolled using an automated fashion. And then once this device is enrolled, the software can really check, which is sitting on this, can really check whether I'm allowed to browse to this application or the softwares which are installed in this laptop are compliant or not. So the key here is this device is enrolled, this device is managed. Now, when, let's say, if I type in yahoo.com on that laptop, so based on that software which is sitting on this laptop, will check whether this yahoo.com site needs to go directly to the internet or through the tunnel. Through the tunnel, it needs to go out to the internet. Or if I have to access an application, an enterprise application, then this tunnel will get instantiated from my laptop to that SASE POP for security inspection, and then it can get redirected or have access to that enterprise application. So that's where the first offering of VMware SASE comes to play.
So that's adding an endpoint VPN rather than edge VPN into the SD-WAN to get access to my enterprise resources.
Yes. Basically, if you have to remember one single line for SASE, it's basically bringing in the cloud networking, the SD-WAN piece for the transport, and then the security together. And let me quickly show you that enrollment of the device. The moment I attach that home device, I want to use my home laptop, Windows laptop, to access enterprise application. Device get enrolled, and this is where our Workspace One UEM management station, where the device gets enrolled, and now it will be controlled by all the security policies which are defined by an enterprise admin. So if I want to install an application, I can automate that also. So if let's say I want to install PuTTY application, so I can instantiate that application software installation to that new laptop. So once that new laptop is online, the software, the Workspace One software, which is installed in that laptop, will sync with the configuration out here, and it will do that push of the PuTTY software out there. And then,
so this is the integration between Workspace One and VMware SD-WAN. This particular piece that you're showing us is the standard Workspace One endpoint device management component.
Yes. And that's where that security also comes to play.
Right.
I'll showcase that in a little bit out here. So you can see here. Now, how does that laptop knows that when what traffic I need to send it over the secure tunnel to access enterprise applications. So the moment the customer from that laptop type in vmware.com or any of these URLs out there, then it will instantiate a tunnel. Or any other traffic which needs to be blocked. So these kind of traffic will get blocked. So this configuration get pushed to that laptop, which is now part of that enterprise. The enterprise is kind of enforcing all these policies out there. That's where that integration of Workspace One or working from anywhere comes to play. All that automation is built in here with the VMware SASE. So with VMware SASE, that's the first offering is this Workspace One integration.
Yeah. Because historically, the AirWatch product that's behind that Workspace One had its own VPN and proxy that would sit inside your network that you'd have to independently deploy. But here, with that integration with your VMware SD-WAN solution, there's no additional deployment of that access to your internal network. It's being governed by the same set of policies that are governing network access when you're accessing through an edge as well. So that seems nice not to have mobile devices being treated as an exception to the way you access resources, bringing them into the standard management.
And I could have shown you this end-to-end demo. I don't have the home laptop kind of out here, but I will definitely drop a link where you can see that end-to-end demo of that home laptop, which gets onboarded onto the enterprise policies, and then any traffic which goes out will follow that tunnel configuration out here. And that's where the VMware SASE platform comes to play. The key here is cloud is the buzzword out here. So bringing the cloud networking and the security together.
Yeah, and I did a project that involved AirWatch a few years ago, and there was some really nice functionality in there. It's nice to see how far it's come and how much more integrated both the VMware SD-WAN, ex-Velo Cloud, and the ex-AirWatch pieces have come together and to be a much more cohesive thing.
Yes.
Well, Rohan, we've made 5 videos here. We started with the foundations of what SD-WAN was, looked at how you deployed it, how you build up tunnels, how you control failover, and now how you implement the security. This is a pretty extensive set of content that we've run through this pretty fast.
Yes, I think, you're right. We started off with very basic, zero-touch provisioning, instantiating, unboxing the edge device. I remember you instantiating on a virtual edge on AWS. Jeff unboxing the edge device, then my home edge device. Then we established the SD-WAN overlay tunnels between our edge devices. We executed test cases like branch to branch, hub spoke topology. DMPO was exciting, where we saw that blackout or a brownout condition where link steering happening, on-demand remediation happening, and then to this security. Wish I could cover more in this time frame. I had so many things to show, like visibility, Warning, the list goes on. I wanted to show an end-to-end SASE demo, but I think there is always the next time for that.
Oh, yeah, we can always come back and look at that. And if you're watching this video and there are particular things in the VMware SD-WAN solution you'd like to see more of, just comment up and ask questions on the video. I'm sure Rohan is going to be watching for answering those, and it may also inspire us to get Kelsey to have us come back and make some more videos. So thanks to all of the team, and thanks to Jeffrey for making us look and sound good. And thank you, Rohan, for joining me for this series, and I hope you have a great Christmas time and a great 2021 coming up.
Same to you, Alistair. Same to Jeff. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, stay safe, and wishing for a good 2021.